Hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today, where we'll focus on providing you and your team with insight on how to leverage PowerApps with your Microsoft project management solution. My name is Sarah Howard, and I'm with a Microsoft Gold partner called Progility. We've been implementing Microsoft PPM solutions for over 16 years for large enterprises. That includes everything from engineering, construction, IT, and new product development. We specialize in implementing these solutions for large enterprises, and people tend to get a hold of us when they can't easily explain what's going on across all of their projects. They don't know what resources are working on what work, and they have a hard time getting consistent reports and metrics to make project and portfolio-based decisions. We offer services and solutions in 3 core areas. Deployment and consulting services are Progility's core business, where we provide professional services for successfully planning and implementing Microsoft Project Portfolio Management, including Microsoft's Project Online, integrating PPM with line of business applications, and delivering strategic portfolio management solutions to support top-level management planning. We also have a growing business intelligence practice that leverages best-in-class solutions such as Microsoft Power BI. Progility offers a set of pre-built software solutions and accelerators based upon 16 years of experience, including a set of Hammerhead products that provide improved access to your cloud PPM data, accelerate access to visual reports and dashboards using Power BI, connect data between your PPM system and Azure DevOps, Teams, Microsoft Planner, and Active Directory to improve visibility, insight, and control over your work, people, and projects. Finally, Progility provides post-implementation support services, including expert care, which is designed to assist your PMO with gaining on-demand expertise on the solutions supported. We also offer training for your end users and administrators, and an e-learning offering that can improve consistency and adoption for your users of your project management tools. We do have one upcoming webinar left in our spring series on reporting from your Microsoft PPM system. We will soon be sharing updates on our summer series of webinars and training sessions, so keep an eye out. All webinars begin at 1 p.m. Eastern, and you can register for upcoming events through the Eventbrite link provided or by searching Eventbrite Progility in your browser. We hope you can join us for upcoming sessions, which are designed based upon your consistent feedback, so keep it coming. If you missed Progility's virtual project conference in April, you can now catch it online. It's broken into 3 sessions, the first being client presentations from the state of North Dakota, as well as Geisinger Health System, who share their best practices for deployment. Progility also shares deployment and adoption best practices. And finally, there's an entire session with experts from Microsoft talking about project in their industries and the overall product vision going forward. You can visit the link here, which takes you to the YouTube playlist where the sessions are posted. All videos from this and previous series are available on our best practice playlist on YouTube listed on this page. You can find topics ranging from managing your digital transformation program using PPM technologies to integrating PPM with agile and line of business applications. So feel free to subscribe and access this library at any time and share it with your colleagues. With that, I am going to hand the presentation off to Rob Hirschman, who is a partner at Progility, and we'll be going through our content. Rob, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sarah, and thanks everyone for joining. Today we're going to be focused on how you can use PowerApps in your project management solutions. We'll first give you a quick overview of the project management solution Microsoft offers, because there are a couple different ones. Most folks are familiar with those. We'll talk about what is PowerApps before we get into the actual solutions. Talk through and discuss some of the use cases we've seen out there for PowerApps with project management solutions like Microsoft Project, give you a short demonstration of some of the possibilities, and then at the end, give you a little bit of guidance on what we've seen from the marketplace and a lot of our clients that are going through deployment, support, and training, how you can get there integrating these technologies. So hopefully this is a good use of your time. Let's talk at the beginning a little bit about the different Microsoft project management solutions. And if you've been on previous webinars, you know Microsoft offers different solutions really for different parts of the market. Kind of at the base of it all is a tool called Microsoft Planner, which is a visual Kanban-like solution really designed for project team collaboration, for lighter touch projects, or when things aren't even projects, where you've got information workers that need to organize their information and share data. The real project management solutions really begin in the middle, which is Project for the Web, which is Microsoft's latest tool, which is a visual, intuitive, web-based project management solution designed for business or light project management. So think of it as the occasional or part-time project managers, folks that would go out typically and subscribe to a web-based service that's out there. You want to keep them in your environment, give them a solution that's quick and easy, but they don't need a lot of training. They're never going to kind of age into a formal PMP or a PMO type of organization, and they want to manage their projects quickly and easily. And that's where Project for the Web is a really, really great fit. Importantly, you'll see in purple there, Project for the Web is built on the Power Platform, which makes it easy to integrate with a lot of the things we're talking about today. So you'll see that as we get into our discussion. For the more mature and full-featured portfolio management and PMO offices and IT organizations, that's where Project Online is a really great fit. For enterprise projects and programs and strategic initiatives, Project Online is a fit. This is where it's based on a SharePoint foundation. It has traditional PPM tools. It integrates with Microsoft projects. So it's really the tool designed for enterprise project and portfolio management. So depending on the solution you go with, there's going to be different ways to integrate the Power Platform. And let's talk a little bit about what the Power Platform is. The Power Platform is really designed to do a couple of things. The first thing it's doing is helping you enable access to information. This is the kind of go-forward platform Microsoft has today. There are different technologies within the Power Platform. So there is Power BI on the left in yellow, which most folks are intimately familiar with as the reporting and dashboards analytics tool. That's how we're going to get data from not only Project and Power Apps, but any tool we have and do trending and reporting and visualize the information. PowerApps is the tool you can use to build applications and visualize those through a series of forms. So think of this as the application platform going forward. Power Automate is a tool you can use to do process automation. So I wanted to take information from one system, move it to another, or maybe I want to take information that's submitted in a Power App, move it through an approval cycle, have it kick off a process to create a project. Power Automate is a tool that can do that. There are what's called Power Virtual Agents, which are intelligent virtual agents, which when turned onto your data can make virtual recommendations and help drive users in the right direction. This is a nice piece of functionality. And obviously we're talking about integrate this with a project management lifecycle with Microsoft Project. Below that, there's a series of data connectors and portals. There's an artificial intelligence builder. And key here is something called the Dataverse. You're going to hear more and more about this from Microsoft. This is the back-end database for anything in Office 365 going forward. If you were to subscribe to one of the Dynamics products, you will notice that the database behind Dynamics is Dataverse. The database behind Power Apps is Dataverse. The database behind Project for the Web is Dataverse. So this is the new online or Office 365 database of the future. Think of it as SQL Server really brought to Office 365. But what can Power Apps do, which is really what you're here to learn about? Well, Power Apps is really a low or no code approach to building applications, to capturing information and reporting on that data in a single set of tools. It's easy to go in and you can see in the visual here to build an application. It has a user interface that's purely web-based where you can build applications, either Canvas or model-driven apps. You can then connect those to other via the connections Microsoft offers and other companies offer as well into other tools to push and pull data from your project management system, from your financial system, from your human resource system into the application. All this data is stored in what's now called the Dataverse, or used to be called the Common Data Service, and it is fully integrated. In fact, it comes with Office 365, but there's a separate license and subscription, and we'll talk about that in a bit. The good news is, as a part of 365, it offers the strong enterprise governance and compliance and security versus having to go out for a third-party platform to do your development. And finally, it is extensible. So if you do have developers, you can extend this out through code to touch other tools. It is natively enabled for web-based applications, but also mobile applications. So you can design for a PC, you can design for a tablet, you can design for a mobile device like an iOS or an Android device as well. So it's really driven by the idea that the end user comes first in the application. It also enables you to build out what are called Power Apps portals, which are very, very powerful websites to capture information. You can set up and configure these portals, as you see on the right, through the centralized Power Apps administration. You can use predefined templates to define these, or you can just build your own portal from scratch. And then that content can be made available and put out there throughout different methods of authentication. So you don't have to be a formal Office 365 user to come into a Power App and submit information, which can be really great for government agencies that need to put forms out there and capture information. You don't have to have tens of thousands of licenses. So it really depends on where you're headed from an organization and enabling internal or external access. And then when we talk about it, how Power Apps get created in these series of forms. So in a PPM kind of environment, you've got different project detail pages on the left for issues and risks and status and procurement and schedules. You can then enable Power Apps to access actually a Power App to run within one of those forms, and you would design that in the Power Apps user interface. So I'm going to walk you through that in our demonstration in a couple of minutes. But it's something you can enable both through a SharePoint user interface or its own pure web browser user interface as well. It's very, very flexible. So why is this all important? Really what a Power App can do, or a set of Power Apps, it can enhance your ability to deliver projects based off your process. You're not constrained by what Microsoft offers in the project management tool suite. So let's say you have specific processes like a financial process or an HR process you want to enable and have it touch project. Instead of building something from scratch, you can build on the Power Platform and know that that Power Platform can connect into your project management application. And nicely, this all integrates with Microsoft Teams, which is kind of the operating system of the future, if you want to think about it that way, where I can actually enable access to these Power Apps through Teams natively. So, you can make Teams your window into the information, and Power App can be part of that information you're driving and capturing towards. So what does this mean from a project management perspective if we think about it? Well, in Project Online, here are some typical use cases we're seeing from our customers. One of those is tracking your financials. A lot of organizations want to track financial information, but don't want to go to the level of detail in a schedule to build hourly rates and do cost-based models and budget resources on those. Let's say you want to track costs on a project and you want to marry that with your project information. Well, you can build a Power App that does that tracks purchase orders and invoices all in one system. You can track contracts as well. Maybe you do a lot of work with contract organizations that do the work for you, or you've got contracts with your clients or your customers. You can track those contracts and relate those directly to your projects. What if you wanted to track expenses on your projects? Project Online has a really great timesheet, but it doesn't do formal time expense tracking. Well, you can build a Power App or download a Power App that actually does expense tracking and merge that data in through a set of reports. You can track and manage hourly rates. This has been a huge pain point for just since the beginning of Project Online and Project Server back in the day, where I didn't want people to really see exposed rates. Once I open a schedule, I tap into a resource, I can see the rates for that resource. That may be sensitive information. So why not track the work in Project Online in your schedule and have the resource information and the rate information somewhere else and marry that up so you can actually bring that together through a series of reports. We're finding another use case is customer satisfaction surveys, where at the end of the project, maybe you want to send out a survey to everybody who maybe your customer internally that you were delivering the project for and get their feedback. You can build a customer satisfaction survey, one we'll show you today, and that'll be attached to the project and all the data is there. You can capture ideas and do ideation and innovation through a Power App and even route it through Power Automate for different approvals. Or think about it as really any entity related to a project that you wouldn't typically put in your project management system. You can do that through a Power App and relate it to that. So these are some use cases in the more mature Project Online solution. We start looking at Project for the Web, which is that visual, intuitive solution, kind of from the ground up, basic project management built on the Power Platform. So some use cases for this is if I wanted to do more than build a really, really basic work plan, I could go in and capture project data. Not only the start and finish date, but the department or the portfolio or the sponsor, any of that information, I can build that in a Power App and that relates directly to my project. I can then start to build out different lists of issues and risks and action items, things like changes, maybe take a status snapshot on a weekly basis. I can do that in the Power App that relates again to the project. I can add financial tracking to projects as well. So these are things you can do to kind of bolt on to Project for the Web. Some of the differentiators there are really your maturity. If you're in a more mature PMO or an IT organization where you need to do resource management and time management, those are some key things that are going to lean you more towards the left. If you're more very, very basic or foundational, building really basic work plans and sharing those, Project for the Web may be a really good fit. But this shows you how Power Apps can be enabled. Super stuff is that all the data from both Project and Power Apps, is all available for consolidated reporting in Power BI. So whether you build into a Power App, have it in Project Online or Project for the Web, it can all come together through reports. So think of it as a really, really powerful kind of application platform that'll enable you to deliver any information you have on projects, whereas before you really had to customize an application to do so. So what I want to do is just take a couple minutes and walk you through some sample solutions of how Power Apps and Project can work together. You go into Office 365 here. This is my typical Office landing page. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hop into the project app here, which is our project home. Ask me to sign in. It's authenticating me in. Okay? And what you'll see here on my home page is all of the projects I've been working on. So I may have some project for the web projects that are simpler projects, some project online projects, which are more complex enterprise projects, and then I have different roadmaps here. Let's start with project online. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop into project online. Takes me into project web app. This is my browser landing page, which most people are intimately familiar with. How I'm going to get to some of my Power Apps are down here. So you see I've got my initiation, selection. This is all project online functionality, but down here I've listed Power Apps. And we've put some sample Power Apps here. One of those is a budget tracker. So let's say you wanted to keep your budget information separate from the project data, and you want to capture client budget information in a Power App. So you can see the visuals are different here. We've actually gone into Power Apps, and this is a budget tracker where I can go in and start to add budget line items here simply by clicking the plus. What is the budget title? What is the budget amount? And then I can save that. This is a simple app that allows me to add things like expenses. What is the expense name? What's the expense amount? What kind of an expense is it? So now I can go in and associate an expense or a cost to a specific project I have. This is how Power Apps works. It lets you enable these processes you have through an application that is all being stored within Office 365 and related to a project. Another example is at the end of a project, you may want to do a customer satisfaction survey. So again, you can see the user interface turns to this purple or this gray Power App, and I see it's a customer success tracker here. So you can see I've actually got for each of my customers, maybe internal or external, I've got a contact, an email address, a rating. And if I wanted information about one of those, I could simply click into it. And now I can see the feedback I've gotten from my internal or external customer on overall customer satisfaction. How much service usage do they have of the solution I've provided them? Do I have any active projects or work orders? Do I have any incoming orders coming in? And then I can look at down here the documents that they have stored in the SharePoint site. I can add customer feedback, or I can add a new opportunity. So now you can actually query people and say, how did we do last quarter, 1 through 5? How often do you need our help? When do you expect needing more help? How satisfied were you with our services? And add any comments to that. And then I can have some of these as mandatory fields. This is an example of how you may want to do a customer satisfaction survey, but you see, this is not in SharePoint. This is actually in Power Apps, which means you can make it look and feel exactly like you want it to. And it's very visual. It's very easy. It shows up really, really well on mobile devices. So people can take this with them and answer their questions wherever they go. Again, another really good example of using a Power App within a project management type of an environment. And then we can associate that data with a project. Or maybe we want to capture ideas, but we know people are running around all the time. Maybe we're on the shop floor or they're running around to different meetings. Why not build a mobile app? And this is a Power App. You see it says Power Apps / add an idea, where people can go on their phone and add an idea. Say, here's the title. Here's what I think it'll cost. Here's how important that idea is. What's the business alignment? What part of the organization does it impact? And these are all customizable forms and fields. What's the status? Let's put it in draft. And does it align to a specific product we have? And this can tie in this case, maybe to a backend SharePoint list that could be stored in your project online environment. So it's a quick and easy way to capture information instead of having users to kind of bounce between applications. These are some examples of how you can take specific processes you may not be able to meet in Project Online today and meet them with a Power App. Or finally, contracts. I'm going to click on contracts here. This is going to come up in a different window. This is an example of a Power App that's capturing contracts. You see we have contracts, accounts, and invoices here. Information you would never capture in Project because it doesn't do that. But let's get into one of our contracts. So this is a contract with one of our clients, and you can see we have a life cycle behind that contract. We've got initiation, planning, setup, and execution. We've got information about the contract here. We've got a contract budget listed here. We've got different dates of delivery, and then we've got different tabs for contract line items. Maybe we want to see details on the SOW. Maybe we have purchase orders coming in. Again, this is information you wouldn't typically be tracking in Project, but you want to capture it somewhere. We can look at different invoices and have a history of all the invoices. And by the way, we can take a look at the specifics on the invoice, how much it was for, when it was sent, what the number is, as well as any related information. And have the nice thing about it, again, it's built on the Dataverse. We can have an audit history behind this. We can see what projects in Project Online are directly linked to that and look at any background processes. So this is a great way to use PowerApps to extend out what you would be doing in Project Online to cover specific procedures or process areas you have. And because we have all this data together, we can report off it. So maybe we want to go in and for that client, take a look at all the information about the contract and the labor expenses and where it gets billed and who worked on the project, but also, show me a financial summary. Show me the invoices we sent, the labor cost detail. How much time did we spend? Let's look at the cost tracking and how we went through a burn on the project here, as well as look at things like the scope that we agreed to on the project and the specific contacts we have within the client environment. So this is a great example. This is actually Power BI running off Power Apps and Project Online, pulling all that information together where you might have to do this in a manual way. So that's a really good example of how you can use a Power App with Project Online. And that's 3 or 4 examples of specific use cases. You want to start to think about how can I use it in my environment? What's really relevant to me? Think about those processes that may be manual today that you can maybe automate and tie into your PPM system. Let's talk about how this integrates with Project for the Web, which is Microsoft's latest project management tool. So Project for the Web is the web-based project management tool, which allows you to go and build different projects out. For instance, if I had a project here, let me pick one of the ones I have, maybe a demo project, I could very quickly and easily go in and add tasks and activities to my project in a pure web-based environment. I can add tasks, final meeting, I've got closeout. Now I can add some dates to this. When is it going to start and finish? Okay, and then I can create relationships. So it's a very quick and easy way to build web-based projects, really for your kind of business project managers or occasional project managers. But because all this lives on the Power Platform, what I can do is I can connect that in and start extending that out. So if I want to go beyond the basic schedule, here's one I have, and this is called Project Accelerator, which is a part of the Power Platform. And now I'm back again. You can see I'm in Power Apps. How I know that? The top left, I see that Power Apps user interface, and this is the project app that Microsoft allows you to enable. Now we can see for that specific project, I have lots of other information I can capture. Maybe I want to capture the state of the project, or the stage, or the priority, or the executive sponsor. Maybe I want to capture the progress on the schedule, which is coming from that underlying work schedule, the effort involved, which is coming from the schedule. But you can see the tabs here. If I want to capture business case information, value statement, even prioritization at a very high level, I can do that here as well. We talked about financials. Maybe I want to capture a high level budget on what the project is going to cost me. What's the actual cost of this to date? Maybe we've spent $50,000. How much is remaining? We can do a calculation and also start to capture benefits. Maybe we think we're going to see about $75,000 in revenue recognition from this. And also talk about things like the funding source, internal or external. We're using a Power App. This is called the Project app to do this. We can also start to look at things like risks and issues if we want to enable this, capturing different risks and issues. And again, it's going to come through a series of forms that are in Power Apps. What's the risk? What's the name of it? Who's it assigned to? Due dates, description, and mitigations. Go back, we just keep back arrowing. Issues we have, any issues on the project. Tracking things like changes. Maybe there was a schedule change and we want to know more information about that. And even capturing status snapshots. So where are we today? So we can create a status report. By the way, where were we 2 weeks ago? We can click on that and we can capture that. And Power Apps is great because it's built on the Dataverse, which is a relational database. So we can have snapshots over time of the activities that are going on. And think of this as kind of a first pass of taking some of the functionality of Project Online and enabling it in Project for the Web. Again, the big deltas there are a detailed work schedule, being able to do resource management, any kind of enterprise portfolio management isn't really a part of this, program management, and then the ability to do any kind of integration with that. But if you're trying to get started with a really basic solution, you want to build on that, this is Power Apps and Project for the Web working together. And then the reports that come out of this are fully integrated in as well. We can start extending this out to include a full queue of maybe our project requests. Again, it's kind of a flat list, but using Power Automate, we can start to create different approval processes and workflows behind that. Or if we wanted to see a listing of all the projects that are in Project for the Web, they're all here. So if I wanted to take a look at a specific project I have and drill into the tasks, you'll see actually the tasks, the work plan here is the Project for the Web schedule that we've created. And this is what it's drawing from a dates perspective, dates, duration, and work. So that is how we can use Power Apps with Project for the Web to pull our data together. Finally, just to give you a bit of an overview of what, how PowerApps operates, we can simply go to the Office 365 portal. We can come down here to PowerApps, and this is going to be really our maker view. You see it says make.powerapps.com at the top. This is where, as app authors, we're going to come in and we can actually start from data. Maybe we've got data in a SharePoint list or Excel or a SQL Server or Common Data Service or any other data source. We can point to that. Then we can build what's called a Canvas app or a model-driven app. And there are some differences, foundational differences. Canvas being kind of from scratch, you got to know more about code. Model-driven, kind of built off of a bunch of building blocks that are already there, or you can build on that portal, and then you can get started. So as you saw, those apps that we had there, the Idea app, Client Budget app, Satisfaction or Customer Success Tracking app, those are all built here and then deployed into that online environment through an app model. So this is where all of the app development essentially happens. And then you're going to see a list of all the apps we have here, whether it's the project app, which is the one that comes with Project for the web, and any other apps we have. And then we can always bring these in from other sources. So that's a little bit about PowerApps and how it can help enable access to information. What are some of the value points of using PowerApps? Well, the first thing we find it helps get data out of spreadsheets. If you're using a project management system like Project Online, but you're still tracking information like cost information, maybe in a spreadsheet, you can get away from that and put it in a relational database because it's all based off of Dataverse, and we can store that, we can snapshot it, we can report off the history of it. We move to more of a data-driven model versus a spreadsheet-driven model. So if you're using a lot of spreadsheets today in a project management system, this may replace and automate some of that. It can also help consolidate information you have for reporting. Again, if we've got information in our project management system, we've got finance information, use the Power App to bring that together, consolidate that, put it all in one place, and it's all in one secure Office 365 platform. The next thing it can do is it'll provide you with, again, one place to track and manage all the information on a project beyond just the schedule, the scope, the budget, the traditional PM stuff. While finance is managing all the cost information, or you maybe want to track invoices related to projects, have a Power App go out and do that. And that's a great way to glue this information together. And the biggest thing we found it does, a lot of folks will come and say, hey, there's things Project just doesn't do well, and we completely agree with you. It's not designed to do that. But some of these limitations of, Project doesn't do that. Well, now we can take a lot of those processes and we can automate them with Power Apps. Power Apps provides an unbelievable opportunity and a platform for everybody to continue automation around your project management system, to continue growing those processes as you need them and access the information. So as you think about this, what do you do next? How do you start to evaluate this? Is it a good fit? How do I plan for it? How do I go about deploying it and really trying it out in my environment? Well, the first question you want to ask in the red is, what are the requirements we have? If you can sit down and jot those down and share those with folks on our team, we can provide you with guidance. Is Power Apps a good fit, or should you go another direction? So what are the requirements you're looking to meet? That should always drive everything. We then always take a look at what's native in Project and PPM. A lot of organizations we go back to 2 to 3 years after deployment don't even realize that there's a lot more functionality in Project than they're using today. A lot of them are using basic scheduling and doing resource management. They don't know there's portfolio optimization in there. They don't know there's detailed capacity planning or project intake. We can enable a lot of that in the existing platform and then extend it out using Power Apps if we need to. You really want to also start thinking about, what data do you need to complete the entire picture? If your CIO or the directors or the executives are coming and say, hey, I get the picture of where we are on the schedule. I need to know where cost and schedule come together. This may be a really good opportunity to bring that together, merge the finance world and the project management world together in a single application. Let the finance folks do what they want to do, but get an extract, move it into a Power App, merge it together in Power BI. So there's some really great opportunities for data aggregation here. You also want to start thinking about, do I have the license to support this? Power Apps is based on a per user per month licensing model, like the rest of the Office 365 suite, and it's typically outside of your Enterprise 3 or Enterprise 5 or A3, A5 or G3 or G5 agreements, depending on what industry or vertical you're in. So you definitely want to take a look at it. If I'm going to deploy this for 1,000 people in my enterprise, what's the cost of doing that? It gets much more cost effective if you can find other use cases, because if I can have a $10 a user a month license, but I'm using it for 5 or 6 different use cases, that pays for itself almost overnight. But if I'm looking to do this just for one thing, it may not be cost effective. So it's a lot like Power BI, where once you get using it for multiple use cases, it's unbelievably cost effective. But if it's just for one thing, that license can be a bit of a stretch up front from a cost perspective. So look at ways you might be able to leverage this, and other groups in your organization can do it. We also highly recommend you do a proof of concept. If you have an idea, you can bring in folks like us and we can actually proof of concept it out. You might even be able to do some of it on a light sense yourself, but bring some folks in to do a proof of concept and say, hey, in a couple of weeks, let's prove out that we can do this. Let's build out a working prototype. Let's go through a couple of iterations on that. Let's prove it out to management. It can be done. And then you've got a base that you can then build off of and start to use in a non-production environment and then design for production use. Proof of concepts are really, really useful. We found recently for a lot of clients that are really looking to get into this, but aren't really sure what to expect. And so before you invest in a full enterprise solution around it, let's do a POC. Let's pop it in the environment. Let's prove it out to management. And that can help not only prove out what you can do around project management, but it can also start to involve other parts of the business. Go, hey, I have a use case that can meet that, which makes it a lot more cost effective. So, if you're thinking about this, think of proof of concepts, but always start with what's in red. What are my requirements? What do we really need to do? And why do we need to do those things? And importantly, what outcomes are you looking for? So hopefully this gave you a decent overview of some of the capabilities and the possibilities of the Power Platform, and specifically PowerApps in a project management environment and with those use cases. So with that, I'll hand it back to Sarah, who will take some questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob, for the great presentation. So we'll now open the floor to Q&A. So if you have any questions, please type them into the Q&A chat panel where I will read them aloud. Again, if you have any questions, please type them into the Q&A chat panel. All right, looks like everyone's good on questions. So if you're looking for help figuring out all of this, we can help. Our team is uniquely qualified to help you evaluate your needs, reduce risk, and ultimately deploy a solution that can be supported in your environment. So whether you're looking to choose the right tools or build out a proof of concept, go through a formal implementation effort, get your team's training based upon the specific processes you're looking to put in place, or provide ongoing transition and adoption support to drive good use and data across your business, then we can help. For more information, you can reach out to us through the contact information on the screen, or you can head our website at progility.com. So we appreciate everyone's time today, and we look forward to seeing you online at our next event. Have a great day. Hey, Rob, it looks like a few questions just came in.
Got it. Should we take them?
Yeah, let's take them.
Okay.
So from Mary, as a project manager, I care about my schedule and how the invoices, resource information, etc., will be merged into the project's schedules and numbers. Sorry, let me restate that. I care about my schedule, how our invoices, resource information, and etc. will be merged into project schedules and numbers. Does that make sense?
I think so. So it's a good question, Mary. So typically you're managing your schedule and the schedule performance in Project and Project Online. If you had invoice information, you would essentially have those invoices stored in PowerApps, and then through the reporting, you could actually merge that data. You're not actually integrating the invoice into the schedule. You're doing it generally more of a reporting layer. So you're able to view all the invoices, view the schedule performance, have it all in one place. If you wanted to bring those two together, you could probably do some data integration to do that. But typically we're finding that's more of a reporting approach we're seeing. So But if we could, learn a little more about the specifics behind that problem, we can share some potential solutions. So.
Okay, thank you. And another question is, can you have multiple users use a Power App at the same time?
You can, absolutely. Yeah, people can come in and add information. It's a pure web-based application that drives off that database. So you could have literally, it's designed to be scaled to thousands of users at a time.
Okay, awesome. And the final question, is PWA required for Project for the Web?
No, they are actually two separate solutions. So you could have Project for the Web and run your kind of lighter projects and build on that, or you can run Project Online, or you could run both. So most organizations kind of choose one or the other. But we are finding some organizations do both, where they have kind of an IT PMO that needs more of the structure and the rigor, and then they have more business projects which don't really want that level of detail. So Project for the Web is probably a better fit for them.
All right, so I guess that's it for questions. Thanks again for everyone's time, and we look forward to seeing you at our next event. Have a great rest of your day.